The helicopter is going down. Smoke pours from the tail rotor as the Black Hawk spirals toward the Afghan mountains at 140 miles per hour. Inside, 12 elite operators from SEAL Team 7 brace for impact, some praying, some silent, all certain this is how it ends. The pilot screams into the radio, "Mayday! Mayday! We are going down hard! Repeat, we are—" The transmission cuts as the bird slams into the mountainside. Metal shrieking, rotors shattering, bodies thrown like rag dolls against reinforced steel. The world becomes chaos. Fire, smoke, screaming, darkness. When the dust settles, 8 SEALs are conscious. 4 are critically injured. They're 15 miles behind enemy lines in Taliban-controlled territory, with no working communications, no extraction, and a hostage rescue mission that just became a survival situation. Team leader Lieutenant Commander Briggs pulls himself from the wreckage, blood streaming from a head wound. He does a quick head count, and his eyes land on the one person he never wanted on this operation. Petty Officer First Class Casey Morgan, the newest member of the team, the first woman to ever integrate into SEAL Team 7, the operator everyone said didn't belong. She's barely conscious, pinned under debris, her small frame making her look even more fragile among the hardened male operators. Briggs' expression says what he's thought for 6 months. This is exactly why women shouldn't be here. Over the past half-year, Casey has endured hell, not from the enemy, from her own team. The accidental exclusions from briefings, the gear that mysteriously goes missing before missions, the constant comments about her size, her strength, her presence. Maybe try admin work, sweetheart. Combat's not really your thing. She's gonna get someone killed, mark my words. Diversity hired disaster waiting to happen. She's been humiliated in front of junior enlisted, had her performance report sabotaged, been blamed for team failures she had nothing to do with. Every day is a battle just to be treated like she exists. Subscribe to Her Force Tales and drop a comment. Which country are you watching from? We love our global community. Casey pulls herself from the wreckage, ribs screaming in protest. Around her, the team is in chaos, no leadership cohesion, equipment scattered, injuries mounting. What they don't know is that the unqualified woman they've spent 6 months dismissing is about to become the only reason any of them survive the next 72 hours. Casey Morgan wasn't supposed to exist in the SEAL teams. A 29-year-old former college athlete from Austin, Texas. She grew up the youngest of 5 brothers in a military family. She was overlooked her entire childhood. Too small, too quiet, always told to let the boys handle the hard stuff. She joined the Navy at 18 to prove she was more than her family saw. She clawed her way through every qualification, every school, every barrier, until she became the first woman to complete SEAL training and get assigned to an operational team. She thought earning the Trident would be enough. She was wrong. What nobody on SEAL Team 7 knew, what Casey never advertised because it would sound like bragging, was that before the Navy, she was someone else. At 16, Casey Morgan was a national-level orienteering champion. For those who don't know the sport, orienteering is navigation racing. Competitors use only a map and compass to navigate unknown wilderness terrain as fast as possible, often covering 20-plus miles through mountains, forests, and hostile environments. Casey didn't just compete, she dominated. By 18, she'd won 3 national championships and competed internationally, navigating some of the most brutal terrain on Earth: Norwegian mountains, Finnish forests, Australian outback. She learned to read terrain like a language, to move through wilderness faster than people could in vehicles, to navigate in zero visibility using nothing but topography and dead reckoning. She could look at a map for 30 seconds and memorize every terrain feature within a 10-mile radius. But more than that, her father, a former Army Ranger, had trained her in survival, tracking, and evasion techniques from childhood. Combined with her orienteering skills, Casey became a ghost in any environment. When she joined the SEALs, she downplayed these skills. She wanted to be judged as an operator, not as the orienteering girl. So she kept quiet, performed adequately in navigation exercises, never exceptionally, and let others take the lead. She was hiding her greatest strength because she was tired of being seen as different. That decision is about to save 12 lives.
Lieutenant Commander Briggs assesses the situation, his face grim. We're 15 miles from the nearest friendly position. Comms are down, we've got 4 critical casualties who can't walk, and we're in the heart of enemy territory. The team medic, Chief Warrant Officer Hayes, shakes his head. Sir, we need medevac within 6 hours or Martinez and Thompson won't make it. We don't have medevac, Briggs snaps. He pulls out the tactical map, but it's soaked in hydraulic fluid, barely readable. Casey stands, ignoring the pain in her ribs. Sir, I can navigate us out. Every eye turns to her. The looks range from skepticism to outright hostility. Briggs doesn't even try to hide his contempt. Morgan, this isn't a training exercise. We need actual solutions, not... I can get us to the extraction point, Casey says, her voice steady. 15 miles, rough terrain, avoiding enemy concentrations. I can do it. Senior Chief Ramirez, the one who's made her life hell for 6 months, laughs bitterly. With what? The map's destroyed, GPS is fried, and you can barely navigate a parking lot. Casey feels the familiar sting of humiliation, but something's different now. There's no time for ego, no time for politics. Men are dying. I don't need the map, she says quietly. Briggs stares at her. What? I memorized the operational area before we deployed. Every terrain feature, every elevation change, every water source within a 20-mile radius. I can navigate us out using terrain association and dead reckoning. The silence is deafening. Hayes speaks first. That's not possible. That's 100 square miles of unmapped mountains. Casey meets his eyes. I'm an orienteering champion, national level. It's literally what I do. Ramirez scoffs. Orienteering? That's a kid sport with compasses and... Chief, I don't have time to convince you I'm capable, Casey interrupts, her voice hard. But Martinez is bleeding out, Thompson has a collapsed lung, and we have maybe 4 hours before Taliban patrols find this crash site. So you can either trust me or you can watch your teammates die while you figure out another option. Briggs looks at his dying men, then at Casey. Every instinct tells him she's not up to this, but every alternative leads to death. Fine, he says through gritted teeth, but if you get us lost, I won't. Casey takes point, moving through the Afghan mountains like she was born there. She doesn't use a map, she doesn't use GPS. She reads the terrain, the way water erosion shapes valleys, the way vegetation indicates elevation, the way rock formations create natural pathways. The team follows, skeptical at first, then increasingly awed. She navigates around a Taliban patrol without breaking stride, having predicted their position based on terrain choke points. She finds water sources the team didn't know existed. She identifies the fastest route through impossible terrain that saves them 3 miles in 4 hours. Senior Chief Ramirez, the one who's made her life hell for 6 months, watches her move, his expression shifting from contempt to confusion to something like respect. How is she doing this, he whispers to Hayes. I have no idea. She's navigating like she has satellite imagery in her head. 4 hours into the movement, they hit an obstacle, a ravine not marked on any map, too wide to cross, too deep to descend with injured personnel. Briggs stops. We're blocked. We'll have to backtrack and... No, Casey says, studying the terrain. She points to a spot 200 meters north. There's a natural land bridge there. Erosion pattern indicates a rock formation that spans the gap. You can't possibly know that from... Trust me, sir. She's right. The land bridge is exactly where she said it would be, and they cross safely. By hour 8, even Briggs is following her lead without question. They're 3 miles from the extraction point when everything goes to hell.
Taliban scouts spot them. Within minutes, they're surrounded, 40 hostiles moving to cut off their escape route. The SEALs are outgunned, burdened with wounded, and pinned against a cliff face with nowhere to run. Briggs sets up a defensive perimeter, but everyone knows the math. They're dead. We make our stand here, Briggs says grimly. Morgan, call in our position for recovery of remains when... No, Casey says, her mind racing through terrain calculations. She's seen something the others haven't, a terrain feature invisible from ground level, but obvious to someone trained to read topography. There's a wadi, a dry riverbed 30 meters to our east. It's deep enough to provide concealment and connects to a canyon system that exits 2 miles from the extraction point. Hayes stares at her. There's no wadi on the map. Because it's seasonal, but the erosion patterns are clear. It's there. Ramirez shakes his head. Even if you're right, we can't move 4 litter casualties through a wadi system while being pursued by. We can if I lead them away first, Casey interrupts. Briggs's eyes widen. Absolutely not. That's suicide. No, sir. It's orienteering. Casey checks her weapon, her expression calm. I'll draw their pursuit north using terrain masking and speed. I can move faster alone than they can coordinate a pursuit. I'll evade for 90 minutes, then circle back and meet you at the extraction point. Morgan, they'll hunt you down and... Sir, I've spent 12 years evading pursuit in competitive environments. I know how to disappear, but you need to move now or this doesn't work. She doesn't wait for permission. She fires 3 rounds to draw attention, then sprints north, disappearing into terrain so fast it's like she evaporated. 30 Taliban fighters pursue her, leaving the main SEAL element exposed but mobile. And Casey Morgan does what she was born to do. She ghosts through the mountains like smoke, using micro-terrain to break line of sight, predicting pursuit patterns based on terrain psychology, moving faster through impossible ground than seems humanly possible. She leads the Taliban on a chase through ravines and ridges, always staying just visible enough to keep them committed, never close enough to be caught. She's not running scared. She's controlling the hunt. 90 minutes later, she's evaded 40 hostiles, circled 15 miles, and arrives at the extraction point 30 seconds before the team. Briggs sees her emerge from the darkness and actually stops in shock. How did you... That's impossible. Casey allows herself a small smile. No, sir, that's orienteering. The extraction helicopter arrives. All 12 SEALs load up, including the 4 critical casualties who are still alive because Casey got them out in time. As the bird lifts off, Ramirez sits next to Casey, his expression unreadable. I owe you an apology, he says quietly. Actually, I owe you about 1,000 apologies. 2 weeks later, Naval Special Warfare Command Headquarters, Virginia Beach. The briefing room is packed. SEAL Team 7, their commanding officer, and a 3-star admiral who specifically requested this meeting. Casey stands at attention in front of them, exhausted from debriefing, but steady. The admiral speaks first. Petty Officer Morgan, I've read the after-action reports from every member of your team. What you accomplished, navigating 15 miles through hostile territory with 0 navigation equipment, evading 40 enemy combatants, and ensuring 0 friendly casualties, is the most impressive display of land navigation and tactical decision-making I've seen in 30 years of naval service. He pauses, his expression grave. I've also read the reports about how you were treated for 6 months prior to this mission, the exclusion, the harassment, the deliberate sabotage of your career. The room goes silent. The admiral turns to Lieutenant Commander Briggs. Commander, you wrote in Morgan's last performance evaluation that she was not suited for SEAL operations. Would you like to revise that assessment? Briggs stands, his face showing genuine shame. Sir, I was wrong, completely wrong. Petty Officer Morgan isn't just suited for SEAL operations, she's the most tactically proficient operator I've ever served with. My biases nearly cost 12 lives. I request formal documentation of my failure to recognize her capabilities. The Admiral nods. Noted and granted. Senior Chief Ramirez stands next. Sir, I'd like to add something. For 6 months, I made Petty Officer Morgan's life hell because I thought women didn't belong in the teams. I was protecting my ego, not the mission. She saved my life while I was busy trying to destroy her career. That's unforgivable, and I'm sorry. One by one, the team members stand, offering apologies that range from formal to tearful. The Admiral lets them finish, then turns back to Casey. Petty Officer Morgan, you're being awarded the Navy Cross for extraordinary heroism. Additionally, you're being promoted to Chief Petty Officer, and you're being offered a position as the Land Navigation Instructor for all SEAL teams, a position that's never existed before because nobody's ever had your level of expertise. Casey's voice is steady when she speaks. Thank you, sir. I accept. Later, outside the briefing room, Briggs approaches her. Chief Morgan,
I need you to understand something. I didn't just fail you as a leader. I failed every woman who'll come after you. I let my prejudices override my judgment, and I'm ashamed. Casey meets his eyes. Sir, you're not the first person to underestimate me, and you won't be the last. But here's what I need you to understand. I didn't save those lives despite being a woman. I saved them because of skills I developed long before the Navy, skills nobody asked about because they assumed I had nothing to offer. She pauses, her voice soft but firm. The next woman who joins your team won't be me. She'll have different strengths, different skills. Your job is to find out what those are instead of assuming she's weak. Because the person you underestimate might be the one who saves your life. Briggs nods slowly. I won't make that mistake again. You have my word. 6 months later, Casey Morgan stands in front of the class of SEAL candidates, male and female, teaching advanced land navigation. She's no longer the quiet operator trying to stay invisible. She's the chief instructor, respected and valued, teaching skills that will save lives for decades to come. But sometimes, late at night, she thinks about those 6 months of hell. The humiliation, the exclusion, the constant battle just to exist. And she makes a promise to herself. Every woman who comes after her will have a champion. Someone who sees their potential instead of their gender. Someone who asks what they can do instead of assuming they can't. Because Casey Morgan learned the hardest lesson of all. Being underestimated isn't weakness. It's camouflage. And when the moment comes, when lives are on the line and everyone else has given up, that's when the underestimated become unstoppable. That's when the quiet ones change everything. That's when the unqualified outperform entire units and redefine what's possible. Casey looks at her students, some struggling, some excelling, all learning. And she smiles, because she knows something they don't yet. The person you least expect might be the hero who saves you all. You just have to give them the chance to prove it. Before you go, tell us in the comments, which country are you watching this video from? And don't forget to subscribe to Her Force Tales for more incredible stories, and hit like, share, and comment to support the channel.